If you've ever thought, I'm not doing enough as a mom, you're not alone. Mom guilt is one of the most common feelings parents experience. But here's the truth. Guilt doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you've absorbed pressures and stories that were never yours to carry in the first place. And today, we're going to talk about how to put that weight down. I'm going to walk you through 6 steps to understand where guilt really comes from, 5 external pressures that fuel it, and 1 deeper internal story that keeps it alive. The goal here is to understand the source of guilt more clearly and start loosening its grip. By the end of this video, my goal is that you'll not only understand why mom guilt shows up, but also leave with new ways to start releasing it so you can show up for yourself and your child with more peace and presence. Let's get to it. Now, before we dive in, I want you to know, especially if you're one of my regular followers, that this video is going to be a little bit different than some of my others. This is going to be more like a mini coaching session with me, and thus it's designed to be interactive. So I want you to grab a pen or paper or your favorite journal because I'm going to be giving you reflection questions for each step. You can pause the video and do the work along with it, or you can jot the questions down and work on them during some alone time. And before you tell me you don't have the time, I'm going to challenge you on that. You can find the time if you want to. I mean, most of us find time to doom scroll on social media every day or binge watch true crime dramas, right? So if you're saying that getting rid of the self-doubt is a priority, make sure that your actions back that up. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Jill Urbane, the Mentor Mom, a licensed clinical social worker and early childhood interventionist who helps parents understand their child's development and their own emotional wiring so they can parent with more confidence, calm, and connection. Before we dive into the steps, I want you to know that if you're struggling with mom guilt, you are certainly not alone. In my many years, almost 3 decades of working with parents, I can't recall any families where the mom didn't share feelings of guilt about something as a parent. Now, I personally have many things that I have felt guilty about over the years. One tough one was with my daughter. When she was about 18 months, I realized that she was behind on her speech, and I was devastated. I remember lying in bed night after night with tears streaming down my face, convinced that it must have been my fault. And I thought, I didn't do enough, I did too much, I should have seen it sooner. That's the grip that mom guilt can have. It convinces us that anything negative related to our children comes back to us. So again, you are not alone. And that's a good segue into our first journaling prompt. So grab your notebook and take a minute to write down. I want you to write down where in your parenting journey have you found yourself blaming or second-guessing yourself the most. Maybe it's about your child's development or their behavior or something else. So write it down and then come back and we're going to walk through this together. Now, I do want to say about my own mom guilt with my daughter in that particular situation that season taught me something really important. And that is that mom guilt doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It comes from very specific places. Some of them are external, like the culture we live in, the expectations we've absorbed, and the comparisons we can't seem to avoid. And some are internal. These are deep stories we've carried since our own childhood. So let's start with the first source of mom guilt. Cultural conditioning. For decades, we've been sold the perfect mom image, a spotless house, calm kids, endless patience. But that's not real life, it's advertising. It's like trying to match a Photoshop cover. No matter what you do, you're comparing yourself to something fake. And research backs this up. Moms who try to live up to cultural ideas report more stress, exhaustion, and burnout. Yeah, and we're going to be done with these cultural rules that we've established. So, time to do your next journaling prompt. I want you to write down 1 good mom rule that you have observed from culture, maybe your family or the media. And then I want you to ask yourself, after you've jotted it down, is this actually true or just a tradition? So, pause the video and take a minute to do your reflection, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. Now, culture is just one piece. Guilt also creeps in because moms are being stretched in too many directions at once. So let's talk about the next source of mom guilt, role conflict. Parent, partner, employee, friend, human being, housekeeper, cook, gardener. No wonder moms feel so guilty. They're juggling so many jobs at once. It's like spinning plates. The second you steady one, another one starts to wobble, and the guilt tells you that you're failing. We feel like we aren't spending enough time with our kids. But I do want you to hear this. The attachment research shows that kids don't need constant attention. It's okay if you're not paying attention to them 24/7. What matters most is quality moments of connection. So one of my favorite ways to do this with our kids when they were little was at bedtime. They each got a separate tuck-in, and that was where we really talked about what happened about their day, what things were on their mind, what they wanted to talk about. It became a really, really important part for them to know that this was going to be their time with either mom or dad to have those deep conversations. And there were sometimes they didn't want to have a deep conversation. They just wanted to talk about what Joey did today and some frog that they found while they were walking down the sidewalk. But the point was, is they knew that that time with us at night was 100% focused on them and about them. There were no phones, there were no distractions. So that's what I'm talking about with quality time. We were in there for maybe 10 to 20 minutes. It really kind of depended on the night. So this is what I'm talking about. Quality time. That makes up for a lot of that things, the time that we can't spend during the day. And it's okay for them to understand that. So the next journaling prompt for you is I want you to write down one short activity that you can do with your child this week where you'll be fully present, even if it's just 5 minutes. So pause here and jot it down. Okay, I hope you came up with something really good there. I want you to understand that we've talked about the cultural piece and the roles and how that really can kind of mess us up and feed into that guilt, but it's not just about our roles. Sometimes our guilt feels louder, and that's because of what's happening inside of our bodies. I want to talk about biology and emotional sensitivity because some guilt isn't cultural or situational, it's biological. After birth, your hormone levels shift dramatically, and that change makes emotions stronger and guilt louder. It's like having a smoke alarm that's set too sensitive. It goes off for burnt toast as if it was a house fire. And there's a lot of research out there that confirms this. Postpartum hormone shifts increase emotional reactivity, especially in the early years. And just because your little one may be 2 or 3, it doesn't mean that those hormones still aren't a little out of whack. And it's really important to understand this because when we do, we can look at those feelings through a different lens, one that provides more compassion. So, think about it. If your little one was struggling with something like this, you would want them to be kind to themselves, and you need to do the same, not only for yourself, but also for your child, because I'm telling you, they're watching you. They see you struggling with this, and let's not make this an experience that they repeat as a parent, right? So, all right, time for another journaling prompt. I want you to write down one compassionate phrase you can say when your guilt spikes. An example might be, and this is one of my personal favorites, this is a feeling, not a fact. Or my worth isn't measured in perfection. Or another one of my favorites, this is from Dr. Becky, I'm a great mom who's just having a hard moment. Okay, so I want you to pause here and pick one. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Let's move on. But before we do, I want to say, if this is resonating with you, please hit that subscribe button. I share weekly videos to help you understand your child's development and your own emotional wiring so you can parent with more calm and confidence. And as you listen today, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's the one area where mom guilt shows up most for you? Go ahead and drop it in the comments after you're done watching, okay? All right, let's get back to it. So now that you understand that biology makes guilt louder, let's talk about another big amplifier, comparison and judgment. All right, let's be honest. Most social media doesn't show the mess 5 minutes before the photo. It shows the highlight reel, the milestones, the clean playrooms, smiling kids, and it's impossible not to compare. But I want you to think of it this way. It's like judging your cooking against a food photo. You know, you cook that special meal and you're like, oh, it looks so great in that photo, but mine doesn't look like that. It kind of looks like some slop. Well, we're not seeing the lighting, the editing, or the chaos that was going on in the kitchen as they prepared that food. And here's another important thing to understand that the research shows. Moms who compare themselves to others online not only report higher guilt, they also report higher levels of anxiety and depression. Again, another reason for you to do the work. So, speaking of work, time for another journal prompt. I want you to write down one account, group, or environment that fuels guilt for you. For some of you, it might be family members. Then write down one small boundary you could set with that account, group, or person this week. So pause here and let's commit to one change. Okay, we are moving along. We've talked about some of the powerful outside pressures, but the deepest source of mom guilt isn't outside, it's inside. And that's what we're going to talk about now. All right, let's talk about internalized beliefs and the anxiety cycle. This is by far the hardest step, and it's the reason I saved it for last. Mom guilt doesn't just come from the cultural pressures and comparison. It also comes from the beliefs we absorbed in childhood and the way that those beliefs shape our emotions today. So maybe you grew up hearing, don't be lazy, or good moms would do that. Good moms take care of things and have a clean house, or you should never get angry. Those messages become internalized and become beliefs. And when life gets stressful, those beliefs trigger anxiety, and then guilt follows right behind. So here's how it plays out. Here's a belief. I must be perfect. In this situation, your child has a meltdown in the grocery store. That's when the anxiety kicks in. People are judging me. I'm failing. And then the guilt. If I were a better mom, this wouldn't be happening. Does that sound familiar to anybody? That may or may not be one of the ones that I struggled with. Okay, so think of it like this. Guilt is the smoke, anxiety is the alarm, and the fire underneath is that old belief that you've been carrying. And the research backs this up. Schema therapy shows that childhood beliefs like unrelenting standards or self-sacrifice predict perfectionism, anxiety, and guilt later in life. And the attachment research shows that how we were treated as kids shape how safe or unsafe we feel when we mess up. All right, let's do a compassion reframe. Guilt doesn't mean you're failing. It means an old belief is being triggered, and beliefs can be rewritten. And this is where I want you to do our last journal prompt. I want you to write down one old belief or rule that you still hear in your head. Then ask, when that belief gets triggered, what emotion follows? Anxiety, shame, sadness, and then finally write a new truth to replace it. For example, my child doesn't need perfect, they need present. So pause here and take your time with this one because it's an important one. Okay, welcome back. That's the heart of mom guilt, the old stories we carry and the anxiety they fuel. But by naming them, writing them down, and replacing them with compassion, that is how guilt finally loses its grip. So here's the big picture in summary. Guilt is common. It doesn't mean you're failing. Outside pressures feed it, and old beliefs keep it alive, but both can be challenged and changed. Mom guilt thrives in silence. When you name it and when you journal it, when you replace it with compassion, you loosen its grip. Imagine parenting with more peace, more present, and less pressure. That freedom is possible, and you deserve it as much as your child deserves your love. Now, I want to add to this whole thing as we wrap this up that this is not a one and done process. You are going to have to be constantly practicing this. So that's why I am a big fan of using journaling every single day, whether that's in the morning or at night. Anytime that you can pull a pen and paper out, or if you journal using your computer, there's lots of great journaling apps out there. It's really important to do the work on a daily basis. I always say that 80% of parenting is mindset, only 20% is what we actually do. That mindset piece is so crucial, and we cannot change what we don't acknowledge. The more you acknowledge this, the more you increase your awareness of it, the easier it's going to be to loosen that grip on that mom guilt or those negative thoughts and substitute those new thoughts that are more proactive and serve you better. Now, if you're ready to take this work deeper to not only manage your child's behavior, but also understand your own emotions, triggers, and patterns, you need to check out my Big Picture Parenting program. It combines parent coaching, therapy-informed insight, and child development education to help you create lasting calm at home. I put the link in the description below. I would love to work with you and support you on your parenting journey. As we wrap up, if you know another parent who's struggling with guilt or self-doubt, please share this video with them. I want to help as many parents as I can, and you never know who might need to hear it today. In summary, my goal for this video was to help you see where mom guilt really comes from and to give you the tools to loosen its grip. If you journaled through the steps, you've already started rewriting the story. Remember, your child doesn't need perfect, they need presence. And that freedom is possible for you. If this video gave you a new perspective, tap the like button and subscribe for more weekly tools and insights on parenting mindset and child development. And one last challenge. Let's commit to change and support each other in the process. Drop one small change you're committing to this week in the comments below. Thank you for spending this time for me. It's truly an honor to be a part of your parenting journey. Until next time.